What is miniature wargaming? If you're here, you're probably someone who follows my channel and waiting for me to say something that you can post a snarky comment to. But I'm also going to assume that you found this video because you're interested in getting into the hobby, or you're curious as to what a friend, family member, or significant other is into and what it's all about. If it's the latter of the two, then this video is for you. Before we go on, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing more wargaming goodness. Also, please like and share this video if it helps you in any way. And if you really want to support this channel, buy a t-shirt. Links down below. Miniature wargaming is a pretty extensive hobby. Games are mainly played on large tabletops ranging from simple felt maps to intricately created realistic setups. There are many genres to choose from. Themes ranges from something from our own history to made-up worlds from galaxy far, far away. The setups are more involved as most of these games require you to build and paint your models and units. Before we delve into it, let's talk a little more about the history. Miniature wargaming started in homes and clubs at the start of the 20th century. The games mainly consisted of creating large historical battles from different eras. The rule sets were usually written for massive army movements and battles. It even has practical value in military application as possible outcomes were played out on a large table to determine the best course of action in a war room. Now, it wasn't until the 1960s and 70s, with the popularity of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and the creation of the game Dungeons & Dragons, did the first set of rules come out for playing battles with smaller units down to the single model. This rule set was called Chainmail. From there, over the years, more games were released with different rule sets expanding into themes outside of historical battles. The more popular mainstream games in this hobby includes playing in a dark, grim science fiction universe, fighting magic battles with wizards and knights, vying for power and control in a gothic Victorian world, or coaching your team to championships in a fantasy sports game. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what's available for you in miniature wargaming. To understand the magnitude of the hobby would be to compare it to a classic board game that you known growing up, something like Monopoly or Sorry. Instead of playing on a small board where moving a game piece is confined within designated spaces, you would be moving more than one game piece, sometimes hundreds of units, on a playing area larger than 2 square feet. The board or playing area isn't something that comes in a box. You have to build a playing area by using objects to represent the battlefield. Sometimes people use everyday normal objects to represent certain terrain attributes, but mostly people buy or make these pieces to add a little more realism to the game. You are not confined to moving in designated spaces. Rather, you'll be using a tape measure to move models in inches, usually in any direction you're able to, according to the rules. The game pieces usually comes unassembled. You would have to build them and preferably paint them to represent the theme or army and faction that you're playing. Now, the hobby could be split down into 3 categories: playing the game, painting the models, and creating terrain. You can concentrate on one of the categories or dabble in 2 or 3 at the same time. That all depends on the money and time you wish to spend in the hobby and what you're most interested in. Playing the game is like playing any other game. Some play for fun, some play to compete. We play in our homes, at a game store, or even attend large conventions to win top placement. The draws to playing these games is usually all about learning how to play your faction, as each army or team in each game plays differently. Some require more thinking and finagling, fighting from afar with magic or ranged weapons. Some teams are about brute strength, moving fast and strong and load massive damage. The game as a whole is about learning and implementing strategies on how to overtake your opponent and winning through attrition or achieving goals. Every character unit has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's up to you to create a viable team makeup to tackle any challenges that you may face on the field. The game produces a variety of players. Many like to play for fun, get together with friends, have a few drinks, eat aplenty while having laughs and telling stories. Some live for the rules and love to argue for 30 minutes on a 2-second move. Gameplay is a release for many to get away from the mundanes of life and immerse into a world of make-believe narratives. Another huge part of this hobby is the models itself. To play most of the games requires construction of the models and painting them. This has become a hobby within the hobby itself. There's a huge community of people whose only interest in miniature wargaming is to build and paint the models. There are people who have created a business in offering commission services in putting together and painting other people's armies. There's also a huge artistry aspect to the portion of this hobby. There are many people who are known just from the work that they've done with their miniature painting. Whereas most players of the game concentrate on just putting enough paint to distinguish their armies on the table, the miniature artist utilizes the brush and airbrushing techniques to create works of art, simulating the realism of the theme to the game that these models represent. You can take classes, read articles, or watch videos from other miniature painters to learn these skills to further advance your artistry. There are painting competitions ranging from small contests online or at your local game stores to large-scale competition at conventions that might land you in consideration to be one of the top running artists in miniature painting. And finally, the third part to this hobby is terrain building. Normally, people would consider this hobby in two parts, lumping terrain building with building and painting models. But in my opinion, techniques for terrain building differs a lot from painting models, and there's a very large community of just terrain builders to feasibly consider this as a separate part of the hobby. Like miniature painting, there are many people who offer commission services to build terrain pieces and even build full extensive tables. And just like miniature painting, there are classes, articles, and videos that teach you the skill to build realistic terrain to play your games on. All three of these factors bring together the hobby of miniature wargaming, and each part is a hobby within its own right. I think in many minds of the miniature wargaming enthusiasts, the ultimate goal is to have fun playing with other like-minded people and getting lost in another world represented with a fully beautifully painted army on a table built with such realism that you can't help but feel like you're really there fighting for honor and justice, or destruction and debauchery. Now, I hope this video explained why miniature wargaming is such a huge draw to a lot of us and has opened your eyes a little bit more to the mystery of this hobby. If you wish to know more, be sure to check out our website. You'll be able to find many more videos about wargaming from our YouTube producers, and as well find a list of Facebook groups that we run and maintain that covers some of these games, miniature painting, and terrain building. That's it for now, and remember, subscribe for more wargaming videos and like if you like, and share where you can. This is Chung from the Wargamers Consortium, and I'll see you in the next video.